Hey everybody, welcome to the Get Booked and Paid to Speak Masterclass series. I'm excited because I have the best of the best. My belief is if you want to do it right, speak to the people who are already doing it and getting people results. So today, we're so honored to have Kaminski Jr, who's the founder of Unique Designz, a full-service design, branding, and digital marketing agency. He is also the author of the bestseller, Refuse to Give Up. And this is the biggest thing. This was humongous for me. He's the host of the popular Brand Doctor podcast. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate you having me today.
Oh, for sure. You know what? People know that we're about getting right to the goods. So we're going to talk about how to create a brand that attracts the right clients and speaking engagements. So let me just give you a quickie about who's watching and who's listening. Please. So there's a mix of entrepreneurs who want to add speaking to their business model, as well as new speakers and speakers who might be speaking for free too often and are ready to turn it up and get paid to speak. So I've put together a series of questions so we can get the right answers when it comes to branding. So is it okay if we get started?
Let's rock and roll.
All right. The first thing is this. I want to know from you, the brand doctor, how should we truly define branding? Because it's a word that's been thrown around and people use it all the time. What does it mean? Because I know that it's more than a logo. So I want to turn that over.
Okay. Beautiful question. I know a lot of folks think it's they think it's a website, they think it's logo, they think it's packaging, right? It is far more in depth than just that. And so there's a couple different definitions out there floating around. I happen to like two. I'm going to give you one sort of as a blanket, and I'm going to give you one that's really targeted towards people that are watching. So branding is that gut feeling that people get when people interact with you, your product, your service at any level. It could be the way you pick up the phone, to the way that you deliver the service, to the follow-up, everything. So it's that gut feeling that people get when they are introduced to the business, to the brand, right? Now, personal branding, which I think will really resonate with people that are watching, is this. It is the intersection between how you perceive yourself and how people actually perceive you. So when you have a gap, a wide gap between how you perceive yourself and how people see you, you're going to have a really hard time growing and building that brand. When that gap is really tight, that means you're relevant, you resonate, and you connect. And it's going to be much easier for you to develop that brand and build that influence. So does that help answer that question?
Yeah, so how you perceive yourself to be and how others perceive you. And the whole thing is let's reduce that gap.
Right. We're that crossroad, that intersection is what personal brand is all about.
And I want to talk more about personal brand, because here's one of the things I come upon when I'm coaching my speaker clients is that they see themselves as just a speaker and nothing else. And I remind them that you're running a speaking business. You're in the business of speaking. So not to lose that aspect. So you can't just solely focus on getting on stage. So here's my question to you. What would you say are the three key ingredients? And I know there's plenty, but if I'm asking you to zone in on this group of people, three key ingredients to building a reputable and profitable personal brand.
Okay. So a reputable brand, in order to create that, you must demonstrate and showcase your expertise. Okay. So I'll give you some actionable steps to do right away. So one of the things I changed with my social media content, because I'm really big on Instagram and we're growing rapidly on YouTube and LinkedIn and so on, is I'm constantly showcasing and demonstrating the results that I get from my clients. People want to see the end result. They buy the solution. They buy the outcome. They don't buy, and they buy you before they buy the product or service itself. Consider the product or service the feature, and people don't buy features. They buy the solution. So keep that in mind. So the more you can showcase that expertise, right? The more narrow you can be, and I'm going to start to slide into how we get profitable, but the more narrow you can be. So I like to ask my Brand Accelerator clients this: what do you want to be known for? When somebody is talking about you behind your back, how do you want them to talk about you? So when people ask, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think social media and Henry Kaminski? They think branding. And some of them that know me, they're the brand doctor. That he's the brand doctor. And so I've done a really good job with creating that mix, right? So what do you want to be known for? Demonstrating and showcasing your expertise. Stop talking about yourself so much. Stop talking in, thought-ish instead of thoughtful, right? So people like to put these little, half-ass comments out there that don't do anything for anybody, teach them, give value of any sort. But when you do less and you actually become more thoughtful, more insightful, and you're more impactful, even though you're doing less, you're creating more of that impact. And I think a lot of my clients like yours are looking for, how do we create more influence with ourselves? How do we level up our impact? So that's that. Now, how to be more profitable. Now, I had to learn the hard way with this. So I've been in business 13 years, and I started literally as a churn and burn graphic designer. I had a laptop. I didn't even have a mouse. I would literally design with the square on the laptop, right? And I would do it for countless hours, and I got really good at it. But the thing that I was not doing for myself, for my family, for my business was being financially competent. I was spending every penny I made, and I did not have that financial intelligence that you need to have as an entrepreneur. So what I started to do was really start to educate myself on financial intelligence. And I came across an audio from Jim Rohn, who's like the legend of personal development, right? And he talked about the 70-10-10-10 rule. And here's another actionable step that I want to give your audience is, so I only now that I've reached the 7-figure mark with my business, and we're sort of cruising at a high altitude, and we're really streamlining. Like, we used to work with 100 clients a year. Now we're down to 8, and we're creating this 7-figure income. And the one thing that I said was, we need to live off of 70% of what I bring in. And I got really disciplined with that. The other 10% goes to marketing. The other 10% just goes into savings, like I don't even have it. And then the last 10% I invest in a little app called Acorns. It's nothing crazy. You're not going to ever hear me say that I'm some stock market analyst, because I ain't got time for that. But it is a phenomenal way to put aside 30% of your earnings in a way that will help you build your business and your future. So that's how you become profitable. And then some more actionable steps is this: know where your money is going. We've all been there. We've all spent money on mentors that didn't deliver. We've all spent money on courses and things that just didn't provide any result. And we felt left behind at the end of the day. Take a look at that and start asking better questions. Why am I buying this? Why am I investing in this? What is the outcome that I want it to create? And be honest with yourself. Am I really going to see this through? And if the answer is no, don't buy it. So really pay attention to what you're spending your money on, and make sure that you're spending money on things that are going to build your brand. That's you, and that's your business.
No, those are great answers. And what I really loved about what you said when you spoke to the whole profitability piece was, no one quite speaks about that financial health, wellness, and knowing that we need to have, because we can be bringing in 6 figures a month or a year. But if we're bringing out or taking out that much per month, it doesn't matter. So thank you for sharing that, because people want the dollars. They want to rave online that I had a 6-figure month, and then go out and spend that 6 figures in that same month. So thank you so much. Now, here's what I want to jump into. Here's the biggest question of all, and I know you get it all the time. and I get it as well. And here it is. How do I get more people to buy my services? So as a speaker, how do I get more conference coordinators to book and pay me? But it's still a service. Your service is your service. Your service is you as a speaker. And one of the things I encourage is, outside of speaking on stage, what else are you offering? But it's, how do I get more people to book me? Buy my services? And how would
okay. Yeah, so that's the $1 million question, right? So so there's two ways you could do it. You could do it the tactful way, and then you could do it the strategic way. Let's start with the strategic way, and we'll get into the tactics later. So strategically, how do we get in front of these people? How do we get their attention? Well, we need to understand them better than they understand themselves. Okay. So we need to know their demo and psychographics. What does that mean? So we need to know, the typical demographic stuff. I think your audience is educated enough to know what demographics are, but a lot of people are still a little uncertain of what psychographics are. And psychographics are, what are they looking to accomplish in their lives? What's holding them back? What are the obstacles and challenges? What are the values and the beliefs that they have inside that determine their decision making, right? What is the risk involved if they do not take action on these challenges, right? Then we start to talk about customer journeys, and we start to think about, well, what made them literally start to seek us out? What was that actual event, right? I had, I'll give you a quick example. One of my Brand Accelerator graduates, he came on board last year and he said, Henry, when you Google my name, now here's a guy that was doing close to six figures a month in revenue. When you Google my name, some cheesy MLM photo from 15 years ago shows up. That's it. I have a problem here because the value that I'm delivering to my audience is clearly not being represented properly online. I need your help. And so we completely branded him from head to toe. New logo, new website, new funnel designs, new social media identity, new messaging, everything. I directed his photo shoot. I made sure that this guy looked like the $1 million brand that he actually was. Okay. So understanding your audience, really niching down and being known for the blank guy or the blank gal, that's going to help people say that is the specialist, not the generalist. That is the specialist that I want to hire to take care of my problems. Okay. When you're a specialist, you'll be able to charge more and you will be more sought after, and your stock, quote unquote, your stock is going to go way up, right? Now that's strategic. Tactically, how do we do this? Well, like I said, if you know your audience's challenges and pain points, you know what they're trying to accomplish. All of your content, all of your marketing should be revolving around those things, because that's when they're going to say to themselves, and I'm sure you've got this before too, they get me. They understand me. They know what I'm going through. And that's how you sell. Listen, we are emotional creatures at the end of the day. If we cannot evoke emotion from stage, we will stay broke. So evoking that emotion, and you guys know, maybe you don't, but people will move their ass much faster to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So if you have to go there, quote unquote, on stage and show them what happens if, then I highly recommend you do that, because guess what? The people in the audience are going to thank you later for it.
Perfectly said. I like what you shared about evoking emotion. We're emotional creatures, no matter how logistically inclined someone is and that numbers person. We're emotional beings. And when we don't use that, when we speak, that it makes no difference. And here's what I want. How could that translate to online? So as an expert, let's just keep it simple, an expert online. And I know one of the things you shared is talk about the solutions and the results, but how can we start to evoke emotion when someone's looking on our website, when someone's looking on our social media platforms? How do we do that tangibly when we're not physically there to, do that back and forth conversation?
The power of the written word and the power of video. I think one of the things that we as solopreneurs or entrepreneurs don't pay enough attention to is the power of a strong copywriter on your team. Right. So there's a few people that I have on my team full time. I have 16 people that work underneath me, and it's a very well-oiled machine after 13 years, but it took me a hell of a time to get here. I will say it did not come easy, but you got to know somebody that's good with design. The quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients. And when I say that, the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life, right? So that's what it comes down to. So having somebody that's good with brand identity, so the visual aesthetics, right? That's number one. Number two in my book is the wordsmith. The one that could take that identity and the look and feel and the visualization and translate it in words that impact emotionally. Those two are your frontline weaponry when it comes to building and growing your brand.
No, thank you. And what I want to move to, and you just went straight into it because, we do what we do and we've got the questions, we've received the questions over and over again. Is who do you need to surround yourself with to create a strong brand? And so here's where I want to start with. So what often happens is, clients will come and I'll let them know that you can't build an empire by yourself. Like Rome wasn't built by itself. It just does not happen like that. So the question they always say is, who do I initially need around me? And you spoke about that initial business mentor, but I want you to talk more. Now, if someone has limited funds, a copywriter, a good designer, where should they start? How should they split it? Because you're correct. The quality of the bookings you get are based on what they see online. Yeah. It's a perception. So who are those first people to bring on your team when it comes to creating and evoking that emotion?
Okay. So this is where my master's degree comes in business management. So when I was building out my team, so I got my master's when I was 22. I did nothing with it until I actually built my first business 3 years later. So it was like, I was getting all this information that was fantastic, but I didn't do anything with it. And then I was like, ooh, that came in handy. Right. So here's what I did. When I went to my mentor and he saw my pain points, he said, you need to replace yourself. You are everything inside of your business. And for all of you that are watching or listening, raise your hand. Are you doing the copywriting? Are you doing the design? Are you doing the billing? Are you doing the client delivery? Right? Yes. And I remember feeling like that ball and chain was on my ankle for years, Karen. Like 5 years it took me to realize I can't do this on my own. 5 years is an eternity for some people. So the first thing that I did was hire a project manager. But before I did that, I was able to sit down and roughly sketch out what my standard operating procedures were for all of my deliverables. And this was tedious, and I'm a creative. I am not one of those analytical engineer minds, right? So this was like scratching nails on a chalkboard for me. But I sat down and I did it. And then when I was able to get enough capital together, I invested in somebody that actually helped me create a digital version. So I now have an employee manual. Any new hire has to read the manual before they get work, right? And so we were able to do that. It was a large investment, but it was worth every penny because everything comes down the systems. So I hired my first project manager. I showed her the ropes. And then what I did was I delegated to her to hiring. So she became my HR director. And I said, these are the qualifications I'm looking for. These are the types of attitudes I'm looking for. This is the skill set I'm looking for. Find them. And she went out and she did her thing because I didn't know exactly where to find these folks either. And she came back with a dozen applicants. So as I got more mature, I realized where some of these people were going. They were going to Behance for design. They were going to Upwork for copywriting and social media community management, things like that. There's these sites, right? The problem that I have with these sites is the language barrier for Americans, at least, is very steep. And a lot of people get flustered and frustrated because they can't handle that. They're like, you know what? Give it to me. I'll just do it myself. Nobody's going to do it better than me anyway. And that's where they fall short. That's the biggest curse. That's the biggest disaster mistake you can make. What you want to do is nurture these people. Find good people. Share your values. Make sure their values align with yours, and coach these people up. You know, the people that work for me now have been working for me for 5 years. I very seldomly have to let someone go because we call it the Unique Designz family. It's not, you're my designer, you're part of my family, and I'm going to treat you that way.
You know, what was something that aligns with what I do is finding the right person and coaching them up. Quite often we go straight out and we want that perfect fit. And if they don't meet all 15 check marks, we're quick to dismiss. The coaching people up is what makes the difference and what creates a family where people will go to bat for you in those extra hours when it's crunch time or you're doing a launch. They're all in and not complaining, and they want to be all in. And that's what it's about. Thank you so much for sharing those great tips around where to start so you can actually build your speaking empire, which is where everyone wants to be.
That's
you know,
what it's about.
Henry, I thank you so much for your time. But before we go, I want you to share something with the listeners and the viewers. I know you have something special, a free offer, free gift for them. So take that over for a moment.
So the biggest question prior to Brand Accelerator clients coming on board through the program is they want to scale their expertise. They want to leverage their influence. They wanted a brand that really truly represents the value that they deliver for their audience. And so what I put together was a 26-minute video, very short, very punchy, very straight to the point, that will allow you to understand the 5 pillars that will help you get to that 7-figure mark. You guys may be plateauing at 5 figures or 6 figures. I've been blessed to get to that 7-figure mark, and I want to level all of you up to that next level. So all you need to do is go to Unique Designz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/scale your biz. And watch that 26-minute video. I could promise you, I can guarantee this. I sound like the Men's Warehouse guy. I can guarantee that I will have you thinking differently about growth and scalability by the end of that video.
Thank you so much. Now, here's the thing. If you did not grab that, no worries. Right underneath the video, you will have a link that you can access, and you know we need to all get it. It's what's wonderful is that it's pillars. It's a system. It's not an ad hoc, do this. So thank you so much, Henry. It was such a pleasure to have you as we spoke about how to get booked and paid to speak in our Grand Masterclass series. I'm wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much again.